Hello. So hopefully you can hear me all right, and the stream title should be obvious. Very tired stream. So I think you can actually see the bags under my eyes. Oh yeah, you can. So yeah, just didn't sleep well last night, and then I woke up very early this morning feeling quite alert and awake. So I thought, fuck it, I'm getting up rather than laying in bed all day, and then just the tiredness hit me like a train later on. So not much to show you on the stream that's new or anything. My pitch blend did come, which is fantastic. So I'll show you the pitch blend in a minute when there's a few more people on, and everybody will be wash your hands as usual. But yeah, other than being tired, I'm all right. But just what, 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. Thanks, Daniel. I think I may have got to 2,000 videos before, but I did delete a load of videos at one point. Actually, no, I think that would have been probably when I was like at 1,500. I know it was kind of one of those marks, but yeah, that's good. 2,000 videos, although I think technically I've already uploaded, haven't I, more than 2,000 videos? Let me have a look. It's just, obviously, most people don't see them until they go live. Does it actually show me on this YouTube thing? Oh, they don't anymore, do they, on the new YouTube thing? Let me have a look at my analytics and see if it mentions it on there anywhere. No, not my analytics. I suppose I'd have to go to my channel page, wouldn't I? And then see that obviously it says 65.6k subscribers. Or is it like Social Blade you looked on or something like that? But because yeah, that says 2,000 free uploads on Social Blade, but yeah. All right, Peach. Wow, I can show you some pitch blend if you'd like to see some uranium, but that's all the uraniums. It's mostly 238, isn't it, in pitch blend? Yep, I've got a couple. Whether or not, I don't think they're actually behind me there, are they? But I have got a couple of old military backpacks. Right, cool. So let me just get the pitch blend out, and I'll put the Geiger noise on for anybody interested. So there's 2 bits of pitch blend, but I'll get the spicier rock. And yes, I'm going to touch it with my hands. I'm just going to make sure I wash my hands properly before I eat or drink anything out of like a mug. Just give me 1 second. This thing's a bit of shit, but there you go. Right. I think this was the spicier rock. Oh, thank you very much, JRC. Cheers. So I'm pretty sure this is the spicier one. So this is very well beta shielded. With the beta shield on, there is a couple of places if you hold something to it that's very high in beta, a bit will get through, but for the most part, this is very well shielded. So you can see it's pretty much background doses there. So now let's go put the audio on. There we go. And come into the rock. So this is going to be obviously gamma to begin with. And we'll put it that way so the Geiger tube's against it. Now, the reading wouldn't really be this high because it's, bear in mind, this is in microsieverts. And the issue is with something like this is because this is calibrated, I think it's cesium-137 they calibrate these on. Obviously, the counts coming off of this are not as high energy as cesium-137, but it's still, the counts are counts, that's legitimate, if that makes sense to people, what I'm saying here. Because I saw a video earlier where somebody was going, the therapy is an awful Geiger counter because it gives you false readings on, things. It's like, no, it's because Geiger counters are calibrated on a certain check source. So if you have something that's high in activity but low in energy, the equivalent dose isn't the same. It's why scientific Geiger counters always just show CPM or CPS. eBay, it's called pitch blend, but yeah, now let's do it with the beta window open. Shall I turn the buzzing off now? There we go. Let's see what's the spiciest side of the rock. If you go on eBay and type in pitch blend or uranium ore, you can find it on there pretty easily. Obviously not these exact chunks, but yeah, let's see what's the hottest side of it. Is this side hotter? Well, I think that is a hotter side, isn't it? Yeah. But generally with like stuff like pitch blend, you end up getting one side of it that's hotter than another side. See, that side isn't as hot. Evening, Richard. Oh, this is a pretty hot side to it. Let's see what it's like on a good old retro Geiger counter. Oh, you on as well, mate? Mike, that's good. Yeah, let's try him on this guy. We'll do it with the beta window open. Let's do times 10 to begin with. I can't remember what was the really hot side. Yeah, let's try side. That's pretty hot. That side's not as hot. That side's not as hot. That's the hot side then. Yeah, it's pretty impressive, to be honest, what it is. Bit of rock, spicy rock. But yeah, the way you should be measuring stuff like pitch blend is the counts per second, because or like counts per minute, because the thing is with something like this, it's very high in activity, but it's not particularly high energy. That's probably because I was showing something like that. Hello. But yeah, so yeah, this is, if uranium is dug out the ground, for the people interested, this is the first stage of uranium. It's what they call pitch blend. That's the old name for it. I think uraninite or something is like the more modern name. It's where you essentially just have bits of uranium in rock, otherwise it would be useless. The uranium is harvested, and there's all the big refinement process that goes on before you get U-235, which is the stuff used normally in nuclear power and bombs. But yeah, it's interesting. I don't think under UV though it's all that exciting. It's not like the autunite, which is really pretty under UV. Let's see. I think there's like a little bit of luminescence to it, but not particularly much. Well, that side's got a bit more. Again, I think the webcam's going to be too bright for you to see it. Is that the spicy side? Let me check. Yeah, that makes total sense. So the side that makes the Geiger click the highest is the side you can see a bit of green glow on with the UV. That's lovely, actually, looking at it from that angle. At least with the eye it is. With the thing, it's not as hot. Yeah, this is the other bit of pitch blend that came today, because I can't remember which was the one I was buying, but the seller basically said he'd give me another bit for free, because it was just a case of, I think he had a couple of bits and he couldn't be bothered to sell the bit separately, and because I bought the other bit. So this is the other bit. Let's check the activity on this one. I won't put the speaker back on, so yeah, that's off. Let's see what the activity's like on this one. I think this one's lower in activity, but I might be wrong. I'm on the times 100 scale. So 10 millirontgen per hour, although I said don't go off that, go off the counts per minute. Oh, that's the hottest side of this. Oh, actually, I think at this angle, this one's hotter. Yeah. So about 120 to 150 counts per minute times 100. So what, 12,000 to 15,000 counts a minute? Pretty high in activity. Oh, that's even slightly hotter there. So that's the other spicy rock. And if you were wondering what this one looked like under UV, he donated Peach. Don't hide him. Unhide user. There you go. I wasn't seeing what was going on with the conversation, but if somebody's donated, I very much doubt they're here to troll. This one isn't as bright, it seems. Yeah, this one looks quite boring, but I think it's technically a bit hotter. I'll catch back up with the chat in a minute. I'm just having a look at. Yeah, thank you. It wasn't me. Thank you very much, JRC. It wasn't me that blocked you, but I've unblocked you. It was one of the mods. Because the thing is, I let the mods, obviously moderate because that's their job. But now and again, obviously, I'll override it if somebody, says something and they get blocked that they don't need to be blocked for. But thank you very much again. Are you on the Discord server, or do you just not have a Discord ID? I can't remember because I know you've donated before, haven't you? Yeah, this one isn't actually as active, is it? I'm saying that I've got the beta shield closed at the moment. All right, yeah, don't insult the moderators for obvious reasons. But yeah, that's actually pretty hot from that angle, isn't it? What about if I put it there? One. That's quite expensive for one Frosty. The one I got was like £18, £20. Yeah, pitch blend's interesting stuff. Yeah, but it's nowhere near as hot as my Autumnite. Now, Autumnite, some of you have seen this before, but I might as well show it you. Those of you who haven't seen it. The coolest bit with Autumnite is, firstly, Autumnite fluoresces under ultraviolet. So if I get the UV light on again, so Autumnite, you might be able to see that, really glows under UV. So in here, there's Autumnite, Torbanite, and Uranophone, I think that little bit's called. I put the smaller samples in these and the bigger ones going to thing. All right, cheers, Lewis. If I spot another one that I haven't got yet that's pretty reasonably priced, I'll get one. Because I know at the moment I've been getting loads of Geiger counters and helmets and that, but it's just been at the moment when I've been on eBay, there's been lots of stuff that's, like a lot more interesting Geiger-wise turning up on eBay than gas masks at the moment. But thank you as well, Lewis. So this has been a really good stream for donations tonight. Thanks everyone. I'm glad I came on because, as I said, I'm really tired at the moment. You can actually see under my eyes how baggy they've gone because just really poor sleeping and whatever. But yeah, let's see. This Autumnite is very hot. So put this back on. We'll do it through the plastic, and there we go. I know I've got the speaker off, but yeah, obviously you can see that the samples in here are much smaller in size than that bit of the 2 bits of pitch blend. But in terms of activity, spicy rock is a blocked word, is it, for YouTube? That is very strange. I don't know why they do that. But yeah, if you want to see the activity on this, let's in terms of gamma, gamma would be more realistic if I did this with it, wouldn't it? But so gamma's not too high coming off of it, but bear in mind they are very small samples. But if I open, let's put the audio back on a minute. And then I go back to dose rate. As I said, the numbers on this will be artificially high because it's not calibrated for rocks like this, but Although saying that, the numbers themselves are actually lower, aren't they, on this? I'll turn the audio off again before it annoys me. So what's the Savage 320 then? Is that a shotgun, a pistol, a rifle? I've heard of Savage firearms, but I don't actually know what they manufacture. Because obviously I'm more familiar with like military style stuff. Not that I've shot any of it, but you know, like AR-15 kind of platform, AK platform stuff. Well, what sort of AR did you get, Cougar? I assume an AR-15 platform, but what was the actual like brand of it and everything? Yeah, thank you, Ghost Jesus. Bart is meant to be, hopefully, this week making a start on drawing another bit of merch, because I keep sending him things and he's taking his like tablet and all that for drawing on when he's gone out. So all right, let me have a look then, Peach. Thank you. Oh, so it's a shotgun then. So is that just like a very simple pump action? Yeah, you certainly couldn't in England, could you? Put stuff like the Stevens 320 pump is the type of weapon you want in a fight. That's like the things that's apparently a no-no for advertisers over here. Yeah, I'm sure it's pretty practical for what it is, because you don't need, you know, like rocket science, do you, for a pump action? I think that's why even in the UK, where we have like a very small firearms market, the pump shotguns end up being quite reasonably priced as well, just because, you know, it's not very hard for manufacturers. Oh, that's cool, Finsofter. I assume that's a helmet, is it, the M3765? As in the foams in the liner, is it? What, the metal one, that one? That one is a reproduction one. If you go on eBay and type in Fallout Shelter sign, there's a company that like mass produces aluminium signs that, you know, like with loads and loads of different like classic things on. And the Fallout Shelter one was one they did for like, it was less than £10. I think it's like either £6 or £8. But yeah, I thought, oh, I have to get that. It's not put up properly on the wall at the moment, but it's just sitting on the old CDV. So anyway, yeah, those are the lovely glow-in-the-dark spicy rocks. I'll put them back away. Coolest thing I've got is probably, because I've already started handling stuff with my hands on the stream, that museum bit of Torbanite I've got. You can see here it's got the old label on, like a really nice bulky bit of Torbanite. So if we open that, let's see what dose we get off of this. It's called storage. If you're going to be like that, Evil, you can fuck off, in all honesty. Because it's like, oh, do videos on surplus, but how dare you have the surplus laying about? There we go. So yeah, that's how spicy actual Torbanite is. And again, I know the reading might be artificially higher off this, because it's calibrated on something that's not, you know, uranium based, but 581. Hopefully this year at some point, Frosty, but the answer's not going to change if people keep asking me. Let's just put the audio on again in a moment before I get annoyed and turn it off. So dose rate, onto the crystals. I've been playing Command and Conquer recently, so like, oh, Tiberian. Oh, actually, will this fuck the webcam up? Let's have a go. Right, let me know if you start seeing white flashes all over the screen. I'll put it over completely. I think I saw a white flash then, actually, saying that. We won't bother doing that again or stream again. But anyway, yeah. So the sound will definitely irritate me if I do it for too long, but Yeah, that'd be great, Richard, wouldn't it? But sadly, I don't think they're allowed to market them like that. Right, let me put that back on the setting it was on. But yeah, Torbanite is really cool stuff, but reminds me of Tiberium a lot from Command and Conquer. But yeah, it's a uranium crystal. Oh, the American Mickey Mouse is kind of horrifying, isn't it? Because they said, how would this be more kid-friendly? Let's do that comment showing SpongeBob. But yeah, the American Mickey Mouse is pretty much how do we make something more kid-friendly by making it look really scary. You know. Oh, it's like a weird brown off-color Mickey Mouse face. So yeah. So as said, after the stream, I'll definitely wash my hand. Because yeah. Oh, actually, here's an interesting test. Let's see, is my hand contaminated? We'll put the audio back on again. And we want dose rate. No, seems to be all right. So I'll wash it all properly afterwards anyway. Because yeah, if you actually look at the screen where I was doing it, it's not high at all. I do. Lots of museums have loads and loads in, and they don't really kind of realize how active they are. There was one museum I saw a video of where they had a massive uranium kind of rock just on a table. And somebody put a Geiger counter near it, and I think they got over 200,000 counts per minute coming off of it. You know, and that was like the distance away that they could get to it, because obviously it was in a display case. So yeah, if you just stood in front of that non-stop, it'd be... That gets asked every stream, Avon, so I'm not going to count them all up again, but a lot. Very soon I'll be doing all my radioactive detecting equipment, even the stuff that doesn't work, you know, in one video, but I'm still waiting for one item to come before I can do that video. And yeah, like the postal service is really pissing me off because it was sent, I think, well before Christmas, and it's just, you know, where they're going like, oh, you know. Which one, Peach? There's the Soviet, what's the bloody name of them? PTM, is it? Up there. But there's also the Russian ROUs as well. Post's been okay for most things. There's been one or two items that just seem to have been stuck in the postal thing at the moment, where the tracking info, you know, says it's got to one bit and then it's just not moved on since then. All right, Cougar, I'm not allowed to do that anymore because of YouTube's policies. It's not even in the background now. I'll remove that comment. If you ask again, you'll get blocked because you can actually have your account terminated for doing that now. So, yeah, don't ask to do anything like that now because YouTube said it's completely banned on live streams. Yeah, I think it's Monday, Mike. I've got one parcel that I need to actually if it's not come by Monday, sadly I think the seller's going to have to refund me on it. And I was hoping I'd actually get the item, you know, because it wasn't that expensive and it's quite cool. But it's just one of those annoying things where at that point it will have been, you know, like 2 months, I think, from the postage date. So at that point, you know, it's where you're meant to ask for a refund if it's not turned up. So yeah, I'm hoping it's just a case of regular delays. It's just annoying me that with one of the things, it's that Geiger counter hype sent me, and when it turns up, I'll pay him for it. Because he said, you know, either do a video when it eventually gets to you, then, you know, do some videos and send it back, or if you want to keep it, you know, send him some money. So when it turns up, I was hopefully just going to buy it from him, but it's just the thing where the tracking says it's got to, I think it was like Boxing Day or like the 27th of December, it turned up at in the UK, and it's not left like whichever airport or you know, like freight hub it's turned up in it since, where they've obviously just probably put it on a shelf somewhere and it's just been stuck there. But I've had really weird stuff before where I've had like parcels that like the weirdest ones are internal UK ones where you have an item that, you know, hasn't been delivered. I've even done things like checked at the local sorting office in case they've got it, and you know, like they're like, no, there's no parcels under your name here. The seller refunds you, and then like 3 weeks later, the parcel turns up. So you're like, where was that for all this period of time? Potentially, it can have CS gas residue on it, but I've never personally encountered one. Um, but I've heard people say they've had like masks with like white powder on that's caused like skin irritation or eye irritation. But I've never personally seen a mask with like CS residue on it. Just as I've never seen a radioactive mask at all. I was thinking just for a laugh in a video getting like a GP5, putting something inside it that's radioactive, putting the Geiger count on the outside and going, oh no, look, I've got a GP5 from Chernobyl. No, I'm not. What have they got there then? Or was it just from bomb tests, Ghost Jesus? There's one right there, Vlado, so that's a warning for you. That could just be talc, though, Mr. Ginge. Most of the time, it will just be talc or some sort of preservative powder. But now and then, you could have like CS residue. Probably about £30, Peach. I'll see after the stream if I can find one on eBay from a decent seller, and I'll put a link on that Twitter thing for you. All right. If you were genuinely asking out of curiosity and you didn't see it right there, then that's all right. But I often get people that say, do you own? And then it's always something in the background. So is it just that there's loads and loads of pitch blend around there then, Ghost Jesus, and that's what makes it very radioactive? That's all right, Peach. But it's just if I spot the seller that's did mine or whatever, or some of the other Russian sellers I bought from that have been legit, I'll put a link on. Just bear in mind with it, I probably said in the video, the actual plastic quality on it is pretty shoddy. So don't be surprised when you get it if you have to super glue some of the plastic bits back together because they've snapped just in transit. Because, you know, military grade. Make something for soldiers that will break if you accidentally throw it around in transit. Yeah, it's weird, Richard. I've had stuff where it's either like that, where later than the date it arrives, they do the tracking to say it's been delivered, or sometimes you get the opposite, don't you? Which is the worst scenario, where they say we've delivered it and they clearly haven't. Yeah, I'll see if I can sort you one out, Peach, for 30 quid again, but it might be just people have put the prices up recently, so if they have, there's not much I can do about that. I'm assuming this is like those weird kind of prank gift products, is it? Where people like literally sell air in a bottle kind of thing. Because you couldn't actually if you went to Pripyat and you had like a load of flasks and you actually put the air in there, the air would be no more radioactive than anywhere else. As far as I'm aware. I mean, if there's radon in the air, then it might be radioactive, but you don't actually get radioactive air as such. So one thing I do not get is that I can still see how many people are viewing and likes at that sort of corner for me. Oh, and don't forget to like the stream, everybody, if you've come on and not liked it. But at one point they did a feature that when people donated, I don't think other people could see it, but I could see a running total of what the donations were for each stream, which is really good. But unfortunately, they've taken that off now, which is, it was quite handy for me because then I'd know, oh, that's roughly how much I got donated. Well, you do know SpongeBob, most of them weren't even told it was radioactive, and it was to see what sort of horribly fucked up things radiation did to people. You can also see other unethical US experiments done on human beings. Let me get the list up, because if people are joking about that, I think you're a fucking cunt, to be honest. Right. Inhumane radiation experiments. Here we go. Then go to the section on radiation. That's MK Ultra, giving soldiers LCD, and then they went more beyond that. They then started dosing people who didn't know about it. But yeah, do early 20th century to the 1960s, and there's all the human radiation experiments, chemical experiments, all the psychological and physical torture they did on people. Oh yeah, pharmacological as well. Oh, and that's not even going into the biological warfare agent tests they did on humans. Yeah, and this is just the US, because like Britain's done horrible shit like this as well. But you know, this is just the massive US list, which isn't even a comprehensive list. But it's stuff like, you know, what can we do to see what horrible things happen to people if you inject them or feed them radioactive food? Like the Soviet Union did shit like this. And like obviously we all know that the Soviet Union was evil, but yeah, like 50s, like 1920s to 1950s America was like the same sort of shitty tier, you know, horrible human rights abuses. Britain did the same thing as well. I'm not saying like I'm a superior Englishman. It's like no, but it's just, you know, kind of fucked up what you think a lot of the superpowers ended up doing. If I could live in any time period, well, probably not one where you die horribly of a disease. So maybe some point in the future, or does that not count? Assuming that the future isn't the sun explodes and we all die. But if I have to pick a historical one, I'll have a look. I'll have a think in a minute. Probably some point during the Cold War, though, just because that'd be interesting. Yep, Kellogg's were involved in it, and Quaker Oats, where yeah, they were done in the things of irradiating cereal. And when I say irradiating it, I don't mean we'll put something radioactive near it, but as in, you know, like mixing radioactive stuff into the cereal that they gave to orphans and like people who wouldn't be able to sue them, basically, to see what kind of damage it would cause to the human body. America did the same thing as well. They were called internment camps. Personally, I don't recommend the GSR unless you can get it really cheaply. I mean, if you got one that was in really good working condition and all that, it's actually an all right mask. The problem is with the GSR, was they had massive quality control issues for the first like couple of years of them going into service. I'm sure a lot of shit like this still goes on. It's just better hidden, you know, or they pay other companies to do it elsewhere in the world rather than doing it, you know, to us. Well, here's the thing, yeah. If you had a government doing it in an occupied country, that would certainly be a war crime, because that's pretty much Unit 731 tier stuff, you know, like the Holocaust tier, Dr. Mengele kind of shit. But if it's your own government doing it to, like, orphans and poor people, they get away with it, basically. Yeah, Avon GSRs might actually have properly decent quality control. I'd get another GSR at that point. Well, if they are watching, Daniel, it's all perfectly legal, as I said before, because I've actually bothered to read through a lot of the UK stuff on it. And the UK legislation, just like the weapons legislation, is pretty dumb, in all honesty. So, as I've said before, I want to be careful what I say on here, because I don't want to make, you know, sound like I'm encouraging people to break the law. But you know, like how there's all the zombie knife stuff with, like, knives, where there's knives that clearly are shit at killing people, yet they're more restricted than like machetes, kitchen knives, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty much the same thing with radiation type stuff as well, where you end up seeing that, you know, I could get as much radium 226 as I wanted, even though radium 226 is really scary. You're allowed more cobalt 60 than you are cesium 137, even though cobalt 60, I'd argue, is scarier. Because again, the person who's made these laws up doesn't really know. No, you're not banned, Cougar. But yeah, it's the typical dumb shit you see, basically, where a government has a legislator where the person who does the laws on whatever subject hasn't really ever read into it. Yeah, it's that sort of thing. So, I mean, I imagine if you actually asked a proper physicist what they thought of the UK laws, if they read them in detail, they'd be even more horrified. Personally, it's more like, oh, cool, so I can buy this sort of thing, and there's no rules against it. But weirdly, I have a feeling on a different UK thing I looked at, like not like it was consistent on one thing from another. So it's again a bit like the weapons laws. You know how like Mike and Peach and Richard will know this if they're on, but you know, like UK weapon laws, there's the thing of you know, like sometimes the police website, but the gov.uk website or whatever has conflicting information on it. It's the same with some of the radioactive substance things as well, where some of like the British nuclear industry regulations that are put online conflict with other ones. So you're like, all right, so which is the one you're meant to follow then? I mean, for most people, that would never ever be an issue. But if you ever want to buy a check source and the quantities are different on different sites and they have a different method of calculating what the legal limit is, you know, basing them off Barracuel. I can never pronounce the word. Barracuel? 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 The French bloke who was one of the early pioneers of radiation stuff. And, you know, Curies, they have kind of, it's like they've done different mathematics. Well, the thing is, yeah, you can still slash with a square point, and if you had enough force on it, you can still stab somebody fatally with a square point. Also, I'm assuming this square point, there's nothing that's been done, so somebody can't just get some wire cutters, do that, and then have a point on it again. Oh yeah, I'm not on about Marie Curie, Avon. I'm on about Barracuel, or Barracule, whatever his name was. But yeah, Curie's is another unit that's used, but she was married to Pierre Curie, and he was French. And she did nearly all her research in France, not Poland. But yeah, Baracuel. Let's see if I can find him. Henry Baracuel. Hey, it looks a bit different than I thought he'd look, but there you go. And what, before you look him up, Avon, what were the 2 radioactive elements Marie Curie discovered and named? One of them's quite obvious because it's actually in honor of Poland. But yeah, that was the guy I was on about. So what I'm saying is, because there's a radiation measurement named after him, and there's also one named after Marie Curie, the British stuff contradicts itself on different sites, where if you put them into a calculator to convert them, the units don't measure up at all. If I spot any, Joshua, I've got a few industrial masks, because there's, oh, you can't really see it out there, it's out the corner of the frame, but there's a Steve Gorman VistaVision up there. But again, it's what turns up on eBay at the point I'm looking for it for a reasonable price. I'm glad you enjoy the videos, Antonio. Yep. All fun and games indeed, Ghost Jesus. The Russians did that over here, but they did it using polonium. Oh, yeah, Cougars just said it. It was polonium rather than plutonium, but yeah. The Russians killed an ex-spy, or like a double agent kind of thing, by putting polonium in his tea. So he had like a really strong alpha dose inside him that killed him really quickly, well, like in a week. But yeah, so the point is that, yeah, radioactive assassinations happen. Yeah, exactly, Richard. I mean, we all know this, don't we? But it's just this kind of thing that, you know, it's really no different. If you're into weapons and then you get into radioactive stuff, you know, to do with Geiger counters, radiation detectors, and check sources, all that, all the laws surrounding it is the exact same shit, where the people who write the laws have no idea, you know, on the stuff. So somebody who actually wants to go out and do harm could easily do it. Somebody who wants to, as safely as possible, collect stuff is actually penalised more. And obviously, I'm not going to say in detail on here what, you know, things I've spotted already in the UK laws that are huge kind of like, you know, fucked up things of it, but it's pretty easy to spot it. Yeah. The weird one is, I remember somewhere reading ages ago on a UK thing, I can't find this again now, that at one point they used to base it on, like, each mineral, you could have a certain amount of it. So, like, with pitch blend, you could have, like, up to 5 kilos or something like that. And, you know, you weren't allowed to buy more than 5 kilos of pitch blend, but then you could buy, you know, more of other elements. And that kind of makes more sense to me than saying you're allowed a check source up to a level of certain amounts of activity. I really can't remember, Peach. I know they said there's 2 Russians who did it or something, and then they said they were there because they were looking at the cathedral or something. I don't know. It gets a bit political, doesn't it? It's just... What, as in braces in your teeth? Should work fine, because most masks don't actually go into your mouth. No, I've not got any World War One canteens. Weirdly, as I keep saying, the canteen I drink out of most of the time now is just that Finnish one. But no World War One canteens. I'll be on for 5 to 10 more minutes, and then I'll be off because I'm tired. But that will change at different times, Joshua, especially because sometimes YouTube gets funny on certain rules. Out of all the shit I've got, the one I've been playing around the most with at the moment is this. My favourite helmet at the moment is that one. I think my favourite gas mask is still the CT12. Nope, these are certainly not Joseph Abood. I've not heard of those. But... yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? That in different countries, different things are legal. And what makes no sense is, again, like with batons in the UK, how certain batons are technically legal and others aren't. Like certain truncheons, batons are legal and others aren't, just depending on the slight shape of the handle of it or how fat it is at the end. It's like if you were going to brain somebody with them, all of them would work as effectively. But yeah, this is the M95, M98 canteen. It came with my M98, but yeah, it's the one that just you pull this bit off. If it will come off, there we go, and then that bit pushes into the bit in the mask, and it lets water through. Right, Andrew, I hope you're not in the UK. I tell you what, Andrew, I'll delete that comment just because I don't know where you post from and I don't want you to incriminate yourself. You're not in trouble or anything, just, yeah. If you've got certain things, it's probably best not to always post on YouTube because if the wrong person sees it, even if it's a joke, they can investigate you for shit like that. That's all right. That's cool. Because I know with some things in different armies, you're allowed to keep some of it and you have to hand other stuff back in, don't you? Yeah, it's exactly, Richard. That's another one that's confusing, isn't it? Like, if you wanted to buy an old-fashioned kind of scimitar type thing, if it's traditionally hand-forged, does that make it okay? Or a hand-forged one's banned as well? There's lots of those where the government sites, like police.gov, the gov.uk, like main government one, the Home Office site, they all actually have slightly conflicting information. Because the thing is, like I've always said with people, and like Mike says on all his streams and that, if they want to do you for something, they probably will do you for it in the end, As much as we're meant to be a Western democracy, if they want to fuck you over with the law, they will probably still do it in the end if you don't have a good lawyer or whatever, or you do something stupid and incriminate yourself. But the point is, it's generally bad, in my opinion, when it's not even clear if you're breaking a law or not, So it's not like you can say, right, I'm definitely not going to break the law, so I know what to avoid. Wow, hang on, the law's different on this, thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. Wow, that's good defensive gate in case the government tries to Waco you, I guess, owning a tank. But yeah, it's annoying you don't get to keep your gas masks though, Zone Slav. But yeah, especially if we'll take them and then we'll destroy them, but you can't keep them. But yeah, if I was writing the laws for a country, what I would like the laws to say is basically, this is all the stuff that is actually illegal. Here are some common things people might perceive as being illegal but aren't. So you're not actually breaking the law if you do it. And this is what kind of punishment you might get for the thing if you break the law. Not, oh wow, we're going to write this law in a way nobody understands unless you're really into the subject. And then if you're really into the subject, it's actually very vague and confusing because clearly the person who wrote this wasn't into the subject. Apparently, Hamish, you can have a working tank gun as long as you've got either a Section 1 or a Section 2 firearms certificate. You probably can't, you probably can't have all the shells for it, I'd imagine, but apparently you can actually still have the gun as functional. Yeah, I'll be keeping it now. Wade, or Wade, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. No, I'm certainly not for FPS Russia. Not as far as I'm aware. There's lots of people, especially with the armor. As far as I'm aware, with the armor, you can keep them completely armored. With a gun, it seems to be it's done on the firearms certificate thing. So when the tanks get sold off by the MOD, I assume generally they normally get sold, because a lot of them get sold on auction, but I imagine sometimes they get bought by people who want to keep them intact and they actually have an FAC or whatever, so they can own the tank with the, you know. Yeah, there we go. What Jennifer said. You can own a cannon on a shotgun license. There we are. Well, you can have a Tiger 1 in the UK, as far as I'm aware, especially if the gun was deactivated, even if you didn't have a shotgun thing. Although I think to drive it on roads, you'd need the rubber tracks, wouldn't you? And it would probably, you need a HGV sort of license to drive it, I imagine, because how much they weigh. No, I heard he got released from prison, didn't he? But I didn't follow any of that. So, you know. So somebody would have to bring me up to speed in the last couple of minutes while I'm on the stream before I go off what this is actually about with FPS Russia. So does that mean you have to have like a massive lock-up garage for the tank? Because then that doesn't make much sense, does it? If you can own the cannon, but it has to fit in a gun safe. I have no idea, because I've never been in the market for buying a tank. I don't think stuff like Challengers ever get sold on to civilians, because I think they still keep them in military service, or they sell them on to other countries. But I know when chieftains and things like that have been retired and all the stuff from that period, they seem to be mostly intact from what I've seen from photos and videos of people put them on YouTube that own them. World War stuff, if you mean World War stuff, although most of it's Cold War, is just because I find it interesting. There's not really any deeper reason from that. Why do some people find stamps interesting, you know? Why do some people like certain models of cars? It's just interesting, isn't it? Isn't the ferret the one that was really dangerous to the crew? Or was that another one? I know one of the British armoured cars from that period killed more soldiers in Northern Ireland, not from the IRA bombing it, but from actual road accidents. Because I think it was apparently really good on actual, you know, off-road terrain. If you tried to drive it on roads, it had a horrible habit of like rolling over and killing the crew. I can't remember if that was the ferret or one of the others, but I know it was one of the little British sort of armoured cars that it was. Yep, I could do that. Speaking of ECBAs, I can't remember if you're on the stream the other day, Chris, but I was saying I watched Hotel Rwanda again the other day. I was like, oh, cool, the UN peacekeepers have the blue ECBAs on. And I was like, wait a second. The Rwandan genocide was 1994. And the ECBA didn't come out until like around the invasion of Iraq time, did it? 2003. Oh. But you know, it was still nice seeing ECBAs in the film. I guess it was just at the time they were making the film, ECBAs with the blue covers were getting sold really cheap, so they could just buy a load for the film to look like, you know, UN Peacekeeper Blue. Well, I think they're actually pressed blue, aren't they? Not UN Peacekeeper Blue, but whatever. I think you know perfectly what you did, SpongeBob, and Peach was completely right to time you out. You were lucky he didn't give you a block, because if he blocked you, then I wouldn't have undone it because you completely asked for it. You can literally look at your own comment that was deleted, SpongeBob, and understand why. But yeah, don't encourage any illegal activity is all I'd say for what you did. Well, my favourite Joshua is the Avon CT12, but it's not the best or most interesting mask I have. It's just my personal favourite. I've got some weird old like industrial masks and like civilian masks that weren't all that mass produced. But you know, it's hard to say because different people find different things interesting. Oh, I don't know either XXT, but welcome. But I'm going off in a minute. There's not really such a thing as a GP6. I mean, there's a GP5M there, also known as the PMG2, incorrectly known as a GP6 by a lot of people. So there's one right there, but there isn't really a GP6. Anyway, I'll be going off now. Thanks everybody. I didn't quite make an hour tonight, did I? It was 56 minutes, but so many other streams have gone on over an hour. The World War III is not realistic. I wasn't aware World War III had happened yet. And it's not like a film, is it? Because if it was a film or game, you could say if it was realistic or not. I mean, if a war actually happened, I don't think you'd have any choice of believing if it was realistic or not if it happened to you. But yeah, thanks everybody that donated as well earlier on. Even the guy that was being a bit mean to people, but he did give me quite a bit in donation, so thank you to him. Yeah, so I'll be off now. Volunteering tomorrow. I might have a day off Twitch tomorrow. Not Twitch. That's Mike that goes on Twitch. I just go on here. I might have a day off streaming tomorrow, just because I'll be volunteering in the morning and I'm quite tired at the moment. So I might have a day where I just get a regular video filmed and then just relax in the evening. But yeah, see everybody. Thanks for everybody that's donated. I volunteer with the Blue Cross, Andrew, which is an animal shelter. But yeah. So I'll probably have a day off streaming tomorrow so I can just watch some films in the evening or whatever, or go to bed early if I want to. But yeah, hope everybody has a good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. See you all. Goodbye.